that you don't unsheath, that you keep as a part of your internal resources rather than continually going out. There's another choice with anger, which is to, if someone does something that angers you, there's a force and a power that comes with anger, because one of its jobs is to help keep you safe when your sense of self has been destabilized. So you get this power inside, and some people, because they don't know what anger is for, think, well, I have this power, I'm going to use it against you. So, so is your mother, or whatever. But some people, this power comes up, especially people who were abused. They feel the power, perhaps they identify it with the abuser. They know they don't want to do that, and they drop it. So the anger, they've got all this intensity, this power, but they just drop it. And so, if I could use a visual, this would be what happens to the sense of self. It's gone. So what I teach with all the emotions is there's an expressive way to handle them, and there is a repressive way to handle them, but there's also a way to handle them such that you realize that they're a part of your cognitive abilities, they're a part of your skill set, and to utilize them as skills and not as weapons or things that you internally hate.
Well, with my mother,
of what the behavior requires is sometimes a really interesting, empathic, empathetic gambit. I do it a lot of times with homeless people. You're walking down the street and a homeless person comes up to sort of, just get money from you because you are just something going by. And I will stop and check in with them and make, significant eye contact and talk to them and say, thanks for letting me give you this money. It makes me feel really good. Where are you staying? That sort of thing. And some of the people are really, it's like their humanity comes back because you do that. But some people have gotten so far off into the edges of the world that the contact is too painful for them. So, I will read that and step back off of it and just say, I hope you have a great day, and then leave them alone. Because there's a way that being on the street as a homeless person, there's a tremendous amount of privacy that you can have because people refuse to look at you. So sometimes it's important to break that private, solitude and to, welcome the person back into humanity. But sometimes they are needing to not be a part of humanity. So the thing about, when people say, how can I be more empathic? I said, well, ask me every 15 seconds, that you're in conversation or relationship with someone, because it changes. It changes, and sometimes, you'll have said something, the talk will be going great, and then you'll say something, and all of a sudden you realize you just stepped in it. Whatever it was, you just stepped over the boundaries. And so there's always this situation of being aware enough of what's going on in the conversation to be able to do repair, to repair what you did, or to move the conversation off. It is something none of us are taught, and we learn by the seat of our pants. And what's lovely is that social science, psychology, behavioral economics, they're all studying it now. But for a very long time, it wasn't considered a worthwhile area of study because of the idea that emotions are the opposite of logic, that emotions are the opposite of rationality, and this is simply untrue. There is no truth to it, but you will still hear it every day. Let's not be emotional now. I'm going to wait until you stop being emotional and then we can talk. And the person doesn't realize that by saying, let's not get emotional now, they're using anger to set boundaries. They're using fear to figure out what the changes are in the situation. They're using all of the emotions. They just don't realize it because, again, we don't have a vocabulary for emotions. We don't have a language for them.
What do you mean by a language for emotion or a vocabulary? What does that mean?
Later, sometimes in our 30s, 40s, and 50s, we learn to say, when you said that thing, I felt that you were saying that I'm not an important person in this world. That's something that you learn to do, and some people never learn to do it. They just get angry, throw it at someone, and move on, never understanding what anger is for. Using it correctly, because anger tells you exactly what to do. You've just been disrespected. You fix that, right? But most of us don't have any conceptualization of what emotions are for. For instance, shame. People know that we can't just have the emotion. Then we have to be very judgmental about it, put it in a thing. Well, that's a negative emotion. So we can't have that. The problem is, there's no such thing as a negative emotion. There are emotions that you can do negative things with, but the emotion itself is just information. It's just a part of cognition. It has a purpose. It has... And also, I think if you don't name it, if you don't bring it out in the relationship, you can very easily be wrong. You can very easily... Now, it's true that some people don't know what they're feeling. So if you say, "Are you angry right now?" And they say, "No, I'm not angry." And you can say to yourself, really. But there are times when, for instance, I frown a lot. And it's because I don't wear my glasses, but also that's how I think. And I actually frightened a bag boy at the Safeway because he said, "Do you want paper or plastic?" And I realized, oh, I didn't bring my bags in, and he said, "What did I say?" I said, "What?" He thought I was angry, and I wasn't angry. I was thinking, do I need paper or do I need plastic? And so with my face, you could read anger that isn't there. And somebody else might be running around very quickly making these kind of darting movements. And to you, that's anxiety. There's fear going on. But you may be wrong because that person just may be a little, kind of a rabbity kind of a guy. That's how he moves. It doesn't mean anything.